Hello, this is Shinru. In this video, we will look into question 20, valid parentheses. This is a very classical question about stack. So how to use stack to solve certain questions. And this question, the mechanism is the stack itself, so we can solve the question using stack easily. So what we can do in this question. So first, let me explain this question. So in this question, we are given a string S containing just the characters, those brackets, and we have to determine if the input string is valid. An input string is valid only if open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets, and open brackets must be closed in the correct order. So let me explain further. So here, open brackets must be closed by the same type of brackets. So for example, if the open bracket is this and the closed bracket is this, then we will say it's not valid. And second one, open brackets must be closed in the correct order. So if it's the same one, let's just make some tweak here. So the open brackets is closed by the same type of brackets, but they are not in the correct order. So just think of it as a mathematical equation. So in the mathematical equation, those brackets must be in the right order. So in this case, this right order should be like this or like this. So it is quite intuitive because it's the same as in the mathematical equations. So this question, why this question is related to stack is because the condition that we use to determine if a parenthesis is valid or not is exactly the mechanism of a stack. So for example, in this case, why we say the first one is incorrect order is because when we put those value, then we put those open brackets into our stack, and then we encounter a closed bracket. We want to pop out the last one as a stack, and which is this one, and we need to compare this with this, and we find out that they are not corresponding. So we will say this parenthesis is not valid. And for those valid parentheses, we can see, so we will get, we will pop out the last bracket, and then we compare with the closed bracket. We will see they are corresponding. Then we pop out the second last bracket, then we compare with the second closed bracket, then we will find out they are corresponding. So for this one, it's the same. So now we know the mechanism of this question. Then how do we put the idea into our coding? So what we can do? First, we need to determine what variable we need. First variable we need for sure is stack, because we are going to work with stack. So let's write stack. And the second variable we will need will be the mapping, because we need to find a way to mapping the open brackets with the closed brackets, because we need to know that if an open bracket is corresponding with a closed bracket. So in this case, what we can do, we can declare variable called mapping, and then we just map them. So for example, we map every closed bracket with its open bracket. So once we do that, then we have a way to find out the corresponding brackets. And second, after those preparations, now we can iterate through our string. So for character inside our string, we will just do if the character is in our mapping, which means it is a closed bracket, then we need to pop out the stack. So what we can do is we can define top, which is the recent pop out bracket from the stack. Then the stack is going to pop out if the stack exists, and else we will just give it some random number, random symbol, and so this is the first condition. And then after we get this top variable, we will compare the top variable with our corresponding open brackets. So what we will do is if top is equals to the corresponding open brackets, so it's going to be mapping, and we will add the character, then we will get the corresponding, and we only need to consider the situation that they are not equal, then which means the parenthesis is not a valid parenthesis, then we return false. And we don't need to consider if they are equal, because if they're equal, then we continue, and until they are all equal, and the stack will be empty. And now we need to consider if the character is not in the mapping, then the character is an open bracket, then we need to push it into our stack. So else our stack will append the new values. So the stack will append character. And after everything is done, then we will return if the stack is empty or not. So if the stack in the end is not empty, but we passed all the situations here, so all those conditions, all this if statement returns true in this case, then which means we entered a scenario like this. So for example, this is a valid parenthesis, but in this case we have an extra here, so which makes the parenthesis invalid. So, and in the end our stack will have this extra. So there are a few questions. There are quite a number of questions that we can use stack to solve it very conveniently. And I will be going through those questions one by one in the future.